Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's lecture, we will be discussing and continuing the object-oriented programming in Python, which is also known as OOPS programming, where we will be continuing with our chapter 2, that is part 2 of the lecture, and that is Access Specifiers. So, like other programming languages which support OOPS concept, for example C++, Java, Python also use access specifiers, which are used to restrict access to variables and methods of the class. Python has three access specifiers, which are public, protected, and private. Python use underscore symbol to determine the access, whereas specifiers for a specific data number or a member function of a class, where access specifiers have an important role to play in securing data from unauthorized access. So what are public access specifiers? So first of all, we are talking about public access specifiers. So let me write it down. Public, it would be public access specifiers. So all data members which have declared initially without any prevention a public access specified. This type of data member are open to use within the class method or outside in any known member function. So this type of data members have no underscore in the beginning of their name. For example, if I say, let's take an example, instead of typing it, I will directly just copy and paste because it will take time. So I will explain you all this. So for example, if we say that what we said that this type of data members have no underscore in the beginning of their name. So let's say with an example that a class student where school name is XYZ, and we define an initiative function where the self name age would be there, where self dot name equals to the name and the self dot age is equals to the age, where student 1 is Alice whose age is 15 and student 2 is Bob whose age is 16, where print the student1 dot name and print student2 dot age, where also print student dot school name and student1 dot school name. So let's run the code and see what we get in the answer. Let's run the code. So once we run the code, we get the answer as, for the student one we get the name is Alice, and for the student for the second function print student to age, we get the age of 16, and the print student dot school name we get XYZ school, and for the another student one dot school name we get the answer as XYZ school. So all the data members are functions are public by default. Now comes the protected access specifiers. So those data members which are declared as protected are only accessible into the present class and derived class. In non-member functions, protected data members are not accessible. We use a single underscore in the beginning of their name to declare them as private. So here you see that there is no underscore, so it is public. But if I use a underscore before the name, then it would be a protected access specifier. For example, if I show you the syntax, how do they use, then it would look like this. So here you can see that a class student has a underscore before the name. So this underscore before the name, which shows that it is a protected access specifier, where the access will be protected and it will be a single underscore in the beginning of the name to declare them as a private. Now comes the private access specifier. So these members of the class which are declared as private are only accessible with the class only. This is the most secure access specifier. We use double underscore in the beginning of their name to declare them as private. For example, if I say, so in this, if we have a single underscore, then it means it is a protected access specifier. And if we don't have any underscore, then it is a private access specifier. But if we use double underscore, then it would become as a private access specifier. To display it, let's take an example and see here. So now you can see that we have two underscore before the name, which also speaks about that it is a protected access specifier. So now if we run the code for this, then let me clear it out, and now self display. Okay, so now if you see that there are two underscore before the school name, then it will be always giving us that it is a private method or a private access specifier. So now comes the classes. Now comes the another topic which is known as classes. So what are classes? In Python, data encapsulation. So our next topic is classes. So in Python, data encapsulation is supported with class. So class consists of both data and functions. The data in a class is called a member, while a function in class are called as methods. So definition of class is, the definition of class is given below, where the class goes with class underscore name, and the statement and the class 1 and statement 2 class, statement 3 class, which continues to the statement n classes. Whereas the statement in the class consists of either data or function, where class name or the statement class body. So defining a function argument list, then the statement 1 will pass, 2 will pass, then the statement n can be passed. So if we take an example for a class with a member is given below. So let's take an example and let me show you how does it work. So for example, I will be taking as class X, where X equals to, I would say 100, and Y equals to A B C D A B C D E F G H. Now if I say that accessing class attributes, now we'll be taking as ACE accessing class attributes, where I say that print in bracket, and now member value of x equals to, and now where ex dot x. Same I'll be writing for print member value of y with x equals to y. Now we'll be also giving the class x again, where I would use a statistic method where defining a function f1 I'll print this is a static method, or I would say that it is a class method, because we are saying it is a class, then we'll say class method. And now let's call the method. So calling the method, so we'll be writing that x dot f1. So let's run the code and see what we get in the answer. So here we get the print for the member of value of x, which is equals to 100, and for the print the member of value of y, we get the answer as a b c d e f g h. So this is how we use the class members class, and this is how the class definition and statements and syntax work, where we use the class function statement to in the oops programming to see how the function works. Now comes the another part, that is object. What is object? So what are objects? In Python, objects for classes can be created in two different ways. There are two direct ways, which are attributing, referencing, and another is instantiation. So what is attribute referencing? So one of the different, see, the objects have two different ways. So in objects, the different ways, the one was attribute referencing and the another was instantiations. So now we will be going with attribute and referencing. So, in attribute referencing, Python class properties can be accessed by using the class name itself. The syntax of the attribute referencing is as follows, whereas class underscore name dot property name. For example, if we say that class X is initialize an empty list for class attribute, then the X input will enter the value of member X and print the value of member of that class. So for that, let's take an example. I'll just simply copy so that it could not take so much time for us. So here we get, and let's make it more visible to you. So now you can see it clearly that class X, where X is equals to close brackets, which initialize an empty list for class attribute X, whereas taking input from the user and assign it to the class attribute, which we X, which is input, where enter the value of member X, then print the value of X dot X, which is EX dot X. So let's do it and run the code. And before run the code, let's clear the terminal, and once you clear the terminal and run the code, now it says the enter the value of member of X. So let's say in class there are 84 members and hit enter, then we get the answer is the value of ex.x is 84. So this is how we use attribute referencing, which is none other than a Python class property that can be accessed by using the class name itself. So the syntax is also working as class underscore name dot property name. So another one comes with that is known as instantiation, which comes as instantiation. So what is instantiation? So during the instantiation process, an empty object is created and this object is assigned with the given object name. The syntax for the class name instantiation is object underscore name, which is equals to class underscore name. So after creating a class instantaneous, the property of the class are accessed with the following syntax. Whereas if I take an example, then it will get you more clear. So let's say that let me class ex define function which is double underscore init double underscore and self. Now self dot x equals to close brackets, where it is, let me type it, instant attribute. Whereas I would say create an instance of the class. Let's create of the class where a equals to ex close bracket, and let's take input and assign it to the instance. So let's assign the input. Once we assign the input, we say that a dot x equals to input, where enter the value of member x. Enter the value of member x. Now let's print the value of x. The value of a dot x is equals to a dot x. Let's run the code and let's see what we get in the answer. Let me clear this off so that we'll not get in it. Now let's run. So now it tells me that enter the value of member x. So let's say there are 34 members and we get the value of a dot x is 34. So that's all for this lecture. We will continue in the third lecture, where we will be also working on the constructors of the object oriented programming in Python. Keep learning, keep focusing and practicing on the oops questions and examples. I hope this video lecture would bring you the best, and you could have learned something better. So thank you so much for being here in this lecture, and if you do like, then share and comment, and if you have any doubt, then please comment below and ask me. Thank you. Bye bye.